We're with, and we're live.
Hello.
Da-da-da-da-da. Hello, wonderful family. We are yet again with the wonderful Kwadwo of Elementary
Thank you.
Chinese.
Thank you. Wonderful. It's me again. Just here helping people learn Mandarin and increase their motivation so you can go further and farther and faster with your Mandarin.
And if this is your first time seeing him, totally check out some of the previous videos that we've made that are on my channel and his channel in order to kind of better understand his story, because he's got a really unique and interesting and also beautifully passionate story that has started in France. What? You'll have to figure it out in order to see.
Go watch that video.
Go watch that video. It's very interesting. And he's just got a wonderful insight and passion for how to learn Chinese and helping others be motivated. And today we are going to go over 5 different subjects that many people have talked about that are in the struggles in learning Mandarin Chinese. There are many, but today we're just going over 5. And so thank you again so much, Kwadwo, for being here. You're awesome.
Thank you for having me. No, really, thank you for having me, Happy.
No, thank you for existing. Come on.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So first and biggest question is tones. Ah! So
deep breath.
I know, the big breath. So thankfully we're just learning with Mandarin, because if it was Cantonese, it'd be 9 tones. But we're going with Mandarin, which is just 4. But it's still a lot, from languages like English that don't necessarily have tones. You can have a tone of voice, but not the ma 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 kind of situation. So do you have any kind of pointers or probably your own experience with having to learn tones?
Okay, well, my experience was I was forced to learn them in university, and I had to just put everything into learning tones. And I think our first exams were either the first week or the second week. They basically gave us 2 weeks to do sounds and tones. So that really does make me say, just get it done. Figure out the tones, study as much as you can, and don't be like, oh, I have. Well, obviously not you, Happy, but you, audience who's watching the videos, just do it right now, because I don't want you to lack the confidence in the future because you're not sure what you're hearing and you're not sure the sound that you're hearing. And so it's way slower to learn that way. Learn the tones.
Yes, learn the tones, because what happens if you don't learn the tones right off the bat?
It's going to take you a lot longer to get excited about your progress, because you'll feel like you're crawling around or crawling along. And the Chinese people that do speak to you, which hopefully you get conversation partners, it's more of the trudging through the mud instead of sprinting along I don't know, what do you sprint along? A freshly manicured track, like a track? I'm trying to say you want to be running because the progress fuels your excitement, and then your excitement fuels your progress. And if you don't get that foundation, it's just really murky, and I don't want that for you. So do your tones.
Yeah,
please,
definitely.
everyone.
I would think that for me, I learned a lot of Chinese through conversation first. So I was just kind of getting the idea of how a word sounded in a certain context, and wasn't actually dissecting the sentence and appreciating all of the words and aspects of it and their individual tones as well. So there were many times that I would be able to say it good enough in a sentence, but then when you asked me to go through and beautifully standardly talk or say a certain word or read it was definitely my worst. I would do really bad.
Yeah, which is normal. Yeah. It's normal. So this is a problem that you're watching. We're here to help. This is also leading into the opening registration for the DIY Chinese community, which is a community of independent Chinese learners who are coming together for accountability and then strategies for me, because I coach people for a living on how to learn language. And so I see this question a lot, which is, how do you go from individual tones and characters? Did I say it? I didn't say it. The link to all of that, including the best way to learn Chinese, a free teaching on Sunday, is in the descriptions below if you're watching this before July 26th.
Check it out.
You get that question often. How do you go from one tone, individual tone characters, to speaking in phrases, because obviously speaking in phrases is a lot harder. So
Yeah.
get there quick. And you can get there quick by going from individual tones to tone pairs, and then from tone pairs to phrases, and you can find those phrases in your textbook or any old phrases that you're practicing with a language exchange partner. Like, super cool tip with somebody who is exchanging with you real life over the internet is have them like read a phrase that you understand or want to understand 3 times, like super slow speed, kind of slow speed, and almost fast speed, whatever you can handle. But then, like, that's exactly what I did, Happy, is I read along with audio over and over and over again to increase my intonation, like my skill at making the right intonation in a sentence, but also my fluency. And everybody who watches you already knows this because you sing all the time. And that's
I do like
great
to sing.
for
Thank you.
word fluency.
Yeah. And I also would say that it can also be a crutch at the same time, because if you learn a word through a song, but then never actually go back and learn the tones of it or how to put it into a sentence, then you only know it, like you can read it in a sentence, but you can't actually like speak it or put it into your vocabulary fluently. So a thing that I do when I'm learning a song is that I'll go through and kind of like test myself on all of the tones of the lyrics of the song, and then go back and make sure that I've like done it correctly. And like if I'm kind of like questioning myself, like, oh, how is this one again? So it's a really good practice to just make sure that I do have those correctly, and this especially if it's a song that I love.
I never thought, I guess I did thought, because the last time we collabed, you talked about this, how do you learn tones in songs that might not have tones? But I still, this morning, I was collabing with Jen, who's here from That's Really Jen, another cool YouTube content creator. And like, really, your Mandarin is so on point, and part of it is because you spend so much time like going deep into songs, and even though the tones aren't quite there, still, like, you just can't beat the exposure to all the different sentence patterns.
Yay!
And just how like the music combines to help you to help like those words and those phrases like stay with you while you're learning. So that's cool.
Definitely. No, yeah. And then it makes it fun and practical at the same time. So onto our next question is staying accountable. Because like if it's really fun, like it's not that hard, but then there are definitely those like kind of like harder, like you have to just really stay diligent. And so staying accountable, if you're just trying to do it by yourself, like it's really easy to fall into or fall out of it and fall into like procrastination or just not really being motivated, because motivation is very fleeting. Like how would you like, oh, teacher, like Kwadwo, like what would you say about staying accountable?
Okay, first I would say, teacher Kwadwo, geez, stop.
Oh, teacher Kwadwo.
Stop. I've been fortunate enough to, I don't know how the idea came to me, but to put this aspect of accountability into practice in the DIY Chinese community. And I'm just seeing people get excited because of their accountability partners and accountability teams. And it's like each week we have a post inside of our community and the teams check in on each other. So since everybody has the same direction and is consistently setting goals and then working towards achieving those goals, it's like the teammates and members are like, hey, how are you doing? Some people are posting like every day, taking pictures of what they're studying and putting that into this group. And so what I've seen is it's not just like a quote on Instagram. Accountability really works. And so if you are studying by yourself, first of all, you gotta go somewhere. Like I provide the community, but if you don't come into the community, which you should, find somebody who can study with you. If you're in a class, I think some of my best times studying languages, not just Chinese, but French too, in university. I did Japanese for 1 semester, super hard, was studying outside of class with friends. It was like a bit of study, a bit of play, a bit of drinking bubble tea. But
bubble tea?
I'm giving you a chance. I'm giving you a chance.
This is my friend, by the way, for my friends who have not met him yet. This is Fet. If you get it, you are great.
You are great. She told me his name was Fet. And then it just started hitting me why his name was Fet. And I was truly blessed.
Opa. You fill it in. But yes,
You
you're
gotta have to.
able to
That
have,
will be the cliffhanger. The next video,
yes, your
Happy
next
will
video.
reveal all. What's behind the
Ooh,
Fett name?
what is behind the
So
Fett name? But yes,
yeah, it's
having
the
boba
community.
tea and the community.
It's the
Yeah.
community. It's the accountability. It's somebody else doing what you're doing and excited about it, and that can make some of the difference. All the difference is a bit cliche, but combined with some other factors, yeah, it's huge. It's why it's better. It's easier to train for marathons with a group of people.
Definitely, yeah. Because I would say for me personally, I find it really easy to give up on myself, like, and just to kind of have that shame talk,
Mhm,
like, oh, you can't do this, like, you're not
mhm,
going to be able to amount to anything. It's not positive at all if you let it just stay in your head. But then when you have other people to kind of like combat those lies and be able to give you that positivity back and to be able to encourage you and tell you that like you can do this, like we'll do this together, like you're not alone. Like I've definitely had that aspect as well. So like staying accountable while also staying positive and
mhm.
motivated, and also just believing that you have like hope to actually accomplish this, because
Yeah,
it's yeah, because
yeah.
there are times that it's very easy
Life
to lose that.
life will test you, and Mandarin is super difficult. It's like you would not climb Mount Everest without one thing, a guide, which hopefully is me. I could show you more about in the links in the descriptions below. I'm doing a free workshop next on the weekend. And
Ooh,
you also would want a team of people just so that you
yes.
can make sure you make it to your destination and that you know how to avoid all of the pitfalls. And sometimes because life is like, oh yeah, you want to learn Chinese? Bam, you get more work from your boss than you ever had, or hello, the virus comes and all of a
Yep.
sudden you're stuck away from home, or
Yep.
you have no access to all your books, but
Yeah.
you just need teammates, people who
Mm-hmm.
care about you to be like, hey, did you do the necessary thing? And accountability
Mm-hmm.
is good.
Yeah. And then also like kind of like the expectations that you give to yourself as well, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a health
yeah.
game.
Yep. And so I would say, so another one of our questions, it's actually given by Jen, is the feeling of being stuck. So I think that I personally fall into this very easy. Like when I give myself way too high of
You?
expectations. Oh yeah.
Okay, give us some detail. I find it hard to believe that you get stuck, but keep going.
So for example, like for let's say like in the music world, I love piano, but if I like tell myself, okay, I want to be able to like listen to a song and then immediately play it on the piano without any mistakes whatsoever. Well, there are many steps that I have to be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
do, like to complete in before I can even get to that goal. But if that's like my first goal and I don't even initiate like any steps up to like realistic steps, and then like I can just really feel stuck. So then every time I sit at the piano, I just feel like, I can't get it. I'm not at that extremely far off
Put it
like
way up
goal.
here. That's huge. That's a high goal.
Yeah, that's a really high goal. So like I just feeling stuck. And like part of that is definitely having kind of those extremely high and unrealistic expectations on myself. So I'm kind of like setting myself
Sure.
up to just be disappointed. And so
Right?
I like that kind of aspect of feeling stuck. Whereas like language wise, it's very like if because it's about connection, like I have other people like in as a part of it. Whereas like with music, I've kind of like isolated myself in that area and have really just tried to do that by myself. So that's like an area that I definitely feel stuck. So what about in the area of like language learning? Because I bet that lots of people, like if they're trying to do this all by themselves, can also have that feeling of being stuck.
I mean,
Yeah.
you already like I'm getting wisdom from you, but it's when the expectation is here. What does that
Yeah.
say? I think it applies to dating. But it's like you're if you just lower your expectations, then like the disappointment is the distance between reality and your expectations. If you just lower your expectations, you'll be disappointed less. That must have been dating advice for ladies, because like us guys are never disappointed. So being stuck with language, I want to say that something I would advise is to allow mistakes within your plan. So if you say,
Mm.
if your expectation is here, I'm going to study 45 minutes a day, for a month, 30 days straight, 31 days straight, because it's July and it's my birthday on July 30th. So I know, happy birthday to me.
Happy early birthday to you.
It sounds good, but inevitably you'll miss a day. And because the expectation was perfection, like being able to study no matter what happens, then very quickly our minds can get in a negative rut. And like Chinese is really hard, right? So one thing I do, Jen is laughing. It's true though. One thing I do though is I tell people, and I see it because people in my DIY Chinese community are actually doing it. But I tell somebody, if you say you're going to study 7 days, then actually say you only study 5 days of the 7-day calendar week. That way, if you mess up, you still have 6 more. Like if you miss a day, you're allowed two mess up days. Or you're allowed one day where your boss gets crazy and you have to work like 3 hours of overtime. Or at your shift, you had like the worst people sitting in your section when you're serving like at Red Robin, like hello, and you just come home in a funk, and you don't want to study. Stuff happens, family life. Stuff, whatever. So
life happens.
Allow for mess up. Like allow for a day off so you can just like go to not go to the beach, hashtag stay inside, but take a break and veg on some TV. So
or YouTube like on your channel or something like
YouTube, like my channel, or actually like watching a Chinese drama or spending some time with some Chinese music to help you, which actually is a good segue into you want to have 3 things. Like 3 things to have an ultra successful study time. Like one of those is a good book. And the second one is the third one is a real person so that you can talk to them and actually make sure that all the exercises you're doing and the studying you're doing is actually useful for communication. But that third thing is an interesting online resource where if you like it, then you will be able to study a lot because it won't feel like studying because you just want to keep watching you. I mean, you're online interesting resources because you sing a lot and that is your thing, right? Is there anything, you're not anything more than singing, right? As far as Chinese goes?
Well, like with Chinese, I also really love dance. And then with singing, like there's lots of different kinds of like music. And I just even recently, I had a friend who was starting to introduce me to underground Chinese rock. And I'm like, what? Like, so, right? So definitely music. But then also I love acting. I love comedy. Comedy is a big thing for me. I love like R&R. But then that's very hard to kind of comprehend because that's also dialects. So I love learning dialects. I love learning like comedy. And like I totally am watching like 流行花园 in order to understand how like they talk. So
how long can you watch that stuff now? Because you like it.
Well, that becomes into like, okay, do I have self-control? Am I gonna sleep tonight, or am I going to like actually like let my heart calm down and recover? But so that's like but I couldn't watch it forever. Like that's definitely it.
And that's the point. Like so many people struggle when we're not in China. Like the whole challenge is I don't hear Chinese all day. I don't have enough Chinese exposure. How do I up it? Well, like if somebody could just copy you and find what they really like and enjoy, then the hours start to fly by. Like instead of, oh man, I have to study Chinese, it's like, can I just slip in a little bit of that drama, or can I listen to the song a little bit, or I'm gonna eat and listen, or like all of a sudden it's how can I fit this in instead of okay, I guess I'll study for a bit because it's been 3 days since I last.
It's a should rather than I would like to, right? Like if you're living by shoulds, it's not fun at all. So yeah, definitely. Thank you. And so that totally makes sense. And so I would think everybody definitely, like if you felt kind of like any of the same struggles so far, totally look out the link below in the description
and leave a comment too about the struggle and see, because Happy actually responds. Like I appreciate that, like you actually respond to people in your comments. But if you want to unstick yourself, I got plenty of advice coming up. Again, if you're watching before July 26th, then definitely go and sign up for this free workshop where I'm showing you the best Chinese. Not the best way to learn Chinese, like me taking my way and like I'm better, but actually I'm going to give you this formula so that you can figure out the best way to learn Chinese for you, because like you're a unique individual. We all are, and your situation is special. So then the approach, you need to tailor it to yourself, and so it's the best way for you.
Yes, and that's wonderful that you're able to personalize it, right?
It's not me that's personalizing. It's more just a framework. I can't take credit for it. I'm not personalizing it for like a million people. It's just you have these components, and then you pick and choose, and that allows you to do it the way that works best for you.
Yeah, and I think like being able to even have that kind of flexibility, right? Because like you've said before, like not one fit for all, right? Like there's many different ways. Like for me, if you like kind of sat me in a classroom and gave me a bunch of tests and a book, like, and didn't talk to me and engage with me and let me like sing something or perform a comedy sketch, like I'm so sad, even though I love the language. And so I think, yeah, like everyone has their own different like struggles. So this next question is actually, for me, it's not a struggle because I talk a lot and I'm talking all the time. But speaking
really?
practice.
Never would have guessed that.
How many, okay, question. How many WeChat friends do you have?
Oh, that's random. I have been paring down the number of WeChat. This is going to sound so bad, but context, okay? Context. People are adding me on WeChat on the daily. And so I think it's somewhere around 1,000 now. Not like I've it's very low now. I'm quite low. Oh, under 1,000. Yes. 814.
Really?
814.
I'm at, dude, oh my gosh, that's so impressive. I'm at, if we look at mine, because I'm like always talking to people, 957.
Score.
Yep. And so I'm like looking at like the 朋友圈, like moments I'm talking to people all the time, like I'm sending voice message. Yeah.
You are. That's really good technique. Looking at the 朋友圈. Do you look at any of the those mini apps inside of WeChat?
Yeah, I have a ton of them. So a bunch of mini apps that like maybe of my friends' companies or of like just different like things that I've like seen before. Because when living in China, you get exposed to so many things to kind of like follow, and even like China Daily, like a lot of different Chengdu things like Inside, like 世界 美拍, like a lot of different things. So
like if somebody has no idea what we're talking about, first of all, WeChat social media platform in China. There is, and I should put mine into dark mode. And so what Happy is saying is, if on your WeChat you want exposure to Chinese, then you go to mini programs, if that can be seen.
Programs. Yeah, that's okay. But that sounds like a video that we could make, actually.
I think we actually should, but basically type in the word for video in Chinese, and you'll see a lot of really fun Chinese content. Like you never knew some of the interesting stuff that was there. That is get in there.
Also, do it. Yeah, because like the thing that's really nice about like using Chinese social media is that it's very interactive, and there's a lot to go through. Like on Weibo, I'm always on Weibo, and also on Douyin, like all the time. So that like I get a lot of exposure, and I also talk to a lot of people on WeChat, like just every day. So what about somebody that's not in that kind of situation, like to be able to practice speaking?
Put yourself in that situation. 2 apps. No, just do it. It's not okay. So again, it's like me being selfish and self-promoting, but at the same time, I'm seeing people keep talking about there's like the old school community Hello Talk, where everybody is just about heard of it. If you haven't, go there. You'll see a myriad of people wanting to learn language, and you can find Chinese people who want to learn English, and you can become their online language exchange partner. Some people just want to date you. You have to figure that out. But hey, maybe you'll learn a lot of Chinese that way. The point is that the sooner you can find somebody online to practice whatever book you're studying or whatever thing you're interested in, and especially to help quiz you, help you learn, help you understand things you don't understand. Like I'm watching a drama and I don't get it, so I just like quickly screen record or screenshot and then ask my Chinese friend now.
So true. Yeah.
That's the practice. Like that's how you have to engineer. It takes more effort, but you have to engineer your environment to make it like a more immersion environment. So those two,
Yeah.
HelloTalk is one community over here, and another community that I've heard people using inside of my DIY Chinese community, link in the descriptions, is Tandem.
Tandem.
Tandem. Yeah.
Yes.
I hear those the most. I hear those the most. So we'll just leave it at two because I don't want to overwhelm with decisions. So pick one. HelloTalk, Tandem, and like you're watching this video right now, that's your challenge. Like as soon as this video is over, finish it because we're just going to keep bringing you value. But go download HelloTalk or go download Tandem and just say, I commit right now today because Kwadwo and Happy said so to find a new person and ask them if they want to be my language exchange partner and see where it goes. Do it.
Right? Because like being able to just be willing to jump into like communication where it's okay if you don't understand 100% of what they say. For me, I'm using HelloTalk right now to learn Cantonese, and there's so many things that I don't understand because it's completely different than Mandarin, right? Like there's only like a few similarities. So for me, like just being willing to go back to step one and be okay with that, because like if you can't start walking unless you take the first step. So I think that's been really, really helpful. And then another question, and our final question for today, is about characters, which is a whole other world. And yeah, for me, I have seen using WeChat because you have the function to be able to talk, but also to be able to type. So I learned a lot of my first Chinese characters from WeChat and actually talking with people and practically using it. Then I took some classes. Then I went to China. Then I like studied abroad. But like to be able to fill in like and have a better, well-rounded understanding of characters and their usages. I'm also left-handed, so my right brain is just like character, yes. Alphabet, no. So
characters writing left-handed. How does that work?
It gets very messy. Like it just kind of like, and oh my gosh, I have all of like, I'll have to.
Turn your paper upside down. Like how does that?
Well, that would also be an interesting video that we could make, because I write like quickly, but then I have all of the loops on the wrong side of the character. So yeah, like Chinese are just like, what is this? Like what's happening here? Like basically.
Well,
but
I
then
mean,
what
you can't be left-handed if you're Chinese. Like if from like a young age, they will make you write with your right hand. So.
Yup. Like I've heard that it's getting better, like as people are like figuring out that you can write left-handed as well and not being so strict. But like English has like calligraphy. Yeah. But calligraphy is right-handed, like hardcore. Like all
characters lost if you do it left-handed.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So I'm like very interesting. Thankfully, my like teachers over in China didn't force me to go to my right hand, but I've had some like older Chinese friends that are like, nope, you have to do it with your right hand. You're gonna have to learn how to write all over again. And I'm like, no.
I heard that too. Wow.
Yep. So I don't write around them. So tip with characters.
You tell me.
Me. So
I'll tell you my secret if you tell first.
So for me, I am I see things actually, like for my brain, I am a kind of a whole reader. So I don't read it really kind of like with all of the details, like an alphabet word. So my spelling is really bad. But then with characters, as a picture, as a like, it feels that it more beautifully represents what it's talking about, and it makes more sense to my heart. Is what characters feel like. And so writing them out definitely helps, and learning the pinyin, but then also understanding and kind of plugging in where that character is used in what kind of words, in what kind of lyrics, and what kind of conversations, in what kind of like situations.
Where
do
you find that information? Like if you have a new character and where it's used. You got a special website? Tell us, please.
So I would say that kind of like just using Baidu, or I would put the word and then I would put geci, so lyrics, and then like kind of songs that have that would come up. Or I would be like, wait, I've totally seen that somewhere. And then like I would go through my songs and like wait until I like find it. And so, or I would go to like my WeChat and be like, okay, and I search that word specifically. and then I would be able to say where people have used it before or where it is in that. So
people are crying who are not as advanced as you. Like, how is that?
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, people are like, I'm never gonna be there. Okay, here, share my screen. Share my screen. I got a
Okay.
website. Please.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Can
request
do.
share right now. This website is called Mandarin Chinese, and it is your friend. You take like pinyin if you want, like how. And you don't even need that third tone. Sorry, look, I do it all the time. How about one? And then you can click a character down here, learn more, and you will see as far as stroke order goes online, it's pretty decently good looking. And you swing over to the right hand side and you have pre-colors. I believe they are associated with the tones. Yep. Second tones are yellow, first tone is red, fourth tone is blue, and G is black. Yeah, so this is for like the average person who is not, if you're not quite as good as Happy and you can't just come to like Baidu and type in characters and look up lyrics like
I make it complicated, okay? Because I've got like
you're just good. You're just good. You're already at the top of Mount Everest. You're like, yeah,
no, bro.
And we're like, for the average person, this site
Huangshan over here.
That's a cool place in China to hike if you ever make it there. But yeah, no, I like the right side because of the color coding, which is a proven technique for learning tones, and the sentences. Look at those. It's like at least 10 sentences that are using this character. One is there, one is there, one is there. And I just barely scratched the surface. So if you go to that website, which is, I think I stopped sharing now, so it's all back in control, but it's called dictionary.writtenchinese.com. That is the way for, and it takes, you can type in a character, or you can type in just opinion, or you can type in English, and it will throw out some characters. That's for the rest of us folks. That's normal folks.
Yep. That's a more normal thing to do. Another thing that I would do is that I would take all of the songs that I've ever learned in Chinese, and I would like copy and paste all of their lyrics into one thing, and then I would search. So I've got a weird system, because if I don't connect it to something that I'm extremely passionate about, I am not as good at actually like holding on to it. So I can actually, like, when I'm going through a sentence, I can relate a lot of words back to when I very first like learned it from a friend, from a situation, from a song. So, yep, that also could be a movie.
I mean,
a video.
We're doing a video. We're gonna collab again. But I think passion. I don't know if we said that. I know we said interest, but if you can tap even deeper than interest to your passion, then you can, it just fuels your Mandarin learning engine even more. So
yes, no, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Kwadwo, for your wonderful time and your wisdom and tapping into that, and your passion as well. It's a pleasure. It's so much fun. Like, right? And
I mean, if you're learning, it's good. If you're learning, it's good. If you're improving, it's good. If you're making progress, it's good. And the worst thing is when you feel overwhelmed. You just feel like you can't go in one direction. You're trying to do like hashtag all the things in Mandarin, and you're just not progressing. So it's like trudging through mud. It's literally exhausting because you're spending so much energy, but you're not seeing the progress, and your motivation is just, it's like I don't know how long I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I thought I would be excited about it, but it's just a lot more tiring and hard. And then you're done. And I don't want you to be done studying Mandarin. So please take some of the advice in this video and just do it. Like, go get a language partner now and come back and leave a comment on Happy's video saying, I got a language partner. And if you want more from me, then, and it's before July 26th, which is a Sunday, I'm going to be teaching like the best way, not my way, but the best way. Like, I'm giving you literally a step-by-step framework that you can apply to yourself, so you can, one, start making progress, but two, be able to hit your goals over and over and over again, so that your momentum increases, your excitement increases because you're feeling good about yourself, and your confidence to communicate in Mandarin, and your confidence in your ability to study goes up. So if that's cool for you and I can help, in the descriptions below is a link to me, and it's elementarychinese.com/ Happy, right? What, two P's,
Happy.
not one?
PPI. Yep. Happy. Yup.
Thanks for having
That's
me.
me.
HAPPI.
Yup. Yes, and thank you so much for that, because I think that's really something that we all can fall into like so quickly, and to be able to also know that we're not in this alone. Like, definitely, everybody, please be sure to check out his channel, check out the link below,
Okay.
and to continue loving Mandarin and find the things that you're passionate about and the people that you love. So thank you again so much, Kwadwo. And
You're
I'm
welcome.
really
You're
looking
welcome.
forward to the next time that we get to talk. And thank you everyone for being here. I
It
will
is
see
a
you
cool
next
time.
time.
See you. Bye.
Yay.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, that was. I really hope you guys